Good evening, everybody. It is still the 10th of May, 2025, and of course there's still some fallout from 9th of May, the anti-Christmas of the West, as I would call it. It's their day of hate and very strange stuff, you know. And I think I mentioned this morning, I put a video out this morning, and this is like a second video. I normally don't do this very often, but I mentioned that, and of course other people are also talking about it, a lot of these politicians, so I hit that right on the nail about this day, the 9th of May. And I have some information. I didn't write down everything, but it's they're scrambling. I mean, it's over. It's the 10th of May right now, but they're still scrambling sort of in the West. They're trying to come up with some sort of a solution to the 9th of May, which is very strange. If you think about the original 9th of May, it was sort of a day of celebration of the alliance of allies, I guess you would call it. I think, what do they call it? The Axis. They used to call it the Axis before, I think, talking about old Adolf and his band of people, but there are a lot more of them involved than we were told in the West. I don't even know why. Why did they keep it a secret that the Baltic states were all behind old Adolf and Finland? We knew about Japan and Italy and Germany, as in, they call it the Axis. But how come we weren't told about a lot of these other countries? And they were, also pretty nasty, I guess, to the Soviets. As I might have mentioned, they had a big death camp in Finland, which I never really heard about. I'm, finding out more and more as time goes by about all this. I didn't even know that the Lithuanians and the Latvians, originally, a year ago, I don't think I knew that they were also on the side of old Adolf, But anyway, we keep learning more and more things, and I was thinking, I didn't know about Ukraine. I thought Ukraine was fully ingrained in the Soviet Union, but of course it was not. It was sort of split, as you all probably know now. I've been mentioning it. I think other people, you might have heard it from other places too. You had eastern Ukraine and Kiev. That included Kiev, and they were on the side of the Soviets. And kind of beyond that, I don't know where that started. Maybe it started in Lvov. And I believe at that time there was no Ukraine, of course, at that time, really. It was, Ukraine was a region anyway. It's, meaning, of course, on the edge of Russia. The edge of Russia. So that's what Ukraine means. The word Ukraine means on the edge of Russia. So that belonged to Russia. And of course, and then there was this movement. I've talked to you guys about that. You guys probably already know. What is it, the OAN or something like that? And Bandera, some people say he started it. I don't know that he started it. Of course, he was in charge of the OANB or ONAB, whatever, the organization, something of Ukraine, whatever. And, it was a more militant side of that. And, at one time early on in that, he had assassinated a high official in Poland, and then he was supposed to get the death penalty. So they lowered that down to life in prison, and then at some point they let him out and all that, big kind of mistake. Then he slaughtered lots and lots of Polish people. There's even, sort of news, I don't know, it might even be true, that he never ever set foot in Ukraine. Well, what was Ukraine? Or what was even considered Ukraine back then? And of course, they said he was born in Austria-Hungary, which Galicia. He was actually born in Galicia. Maybe, I guess that was a part of Austria-Hungary Empire. And I was thinking it was part of Poland, because most all of his life was spent, in Poland and doing things with Poland. And, he was out for some sort of an independent Ukraine, but, kind of strange. He never really had much of anything to do with Ukraine, but he was maybe he was just trying to create his own empire. I will create my own empire to a place I've never even been before, Ukraine, and it will be mine. It will be mine. I don't know. That was his whole attitude whatsoever. But anyhow, the coalition of the Nazis, I didn't say Nazis. The coalition of the willing, I guess is what they call it, and it was a force. Originally it's the Three Stooges. It's Starmer and Macron. Macron is playing Curly. He's playing Larry. And I don't know. Zelensky is probably Mo, and Starmer is Curly, I guess. I don't know. They're all kind of jokers, if you ask me. But they were not the only ones that were on this coalition of the. I mean, not the Nazis, the coalition of the willing. I guess old Duda was there as well. At least I think it was Duda. Oh, the Duda Day. Anyway, it was. But old Donald Tusk, he's part of that. Not Trump. Donald Tusk, he's part of this band of I don't know. Some people might call them evil. I mean, YouTube. I don't know. I think YouTube wouldn't allow me to say that. But these guys are, of course, the Nazis, of course, and very strange. You know, you would not think that Poland would band up with a bunch of Nazis and become Nazis themselves. You would have never thought that the Jews, that any Jews would become Nazis. But of course, you know, you had the beginnings of this anyway in the, you know, with the Herzl and all of these other people. You could probably, some people might even tie it all the way back to the Khazars and all that. But I don't really know about that. I don't know if I would say that. I don't think that the Khazars were really so nasty people, even though they converted to Judaism at one time. So then you'd probably have to be somebody who's anti-Semitic, maybe, to start dishing out and saying bad things about the Khazars. I'm not that sure. I don't really know. I don't really know. A lot of people were doing nasty things back in those days, starting wars against each other and all that. Nobody has clean hands, I guess, from that time. But anyway, I'm digressing, I guess is the word I would say. So these leaders, all these leaders, they watch my videos, of course. Fico and a lot of us, of course, really like Fico very, very much. Very much. Full respect for Robert Fico. So Donald Tusk, he's coming out, and he attacked Fico as well. So they're all attacking Fico. That's what I said. He's brave. They attacked him. Who did they send? They sent somebody to put 5 bullets in him and trying to kill him. But, you know, so far it hasn't worked. I hope he's got some good bodyguards, really, really. But they said, you know, how dare he go to Moscow? And he said, Donald Tusk said it's a disgrace. How dare this guy celebrate the defeat of the Nazis? How dare he go there and whatever he was doing over there, how dare he do that? You know, because these people were celebrating the defeat of the Nazis, and that's us. I mean, Toys R Us. I wanted to say Toys R Us. I didn't want to say that we are the Nazis. You know, but anyway, these guys, that's what they're indicating. They're the Nazis, and just like Lukashenko said, so many people. It's it's the rebirth of the Nazis. These people are all Nazis over there. Incredible. Russia's not doing anything to them. And, you know, just showing, you know, this thing, they should put anything aside, you know, and these people, let them have their parade, you know, of defeating of the Nazis. And, of course, they're scrambling all over there. Oh, let's call it something Euro Day. Let's do anything, you know, on the 9th. And then Donald Trump is coming up. You know, Donald Trump is actually part of this, too, whether you think so or not. And he says, well, let's have it on the 8th. So they're all trying to come up with ways to sideline Russia and to make it not so popular. You know, instead they're trying to find a way to make it look like Putin and Russia is isolated, but they're really doing a poor job when you have leaders that represent more than half of the entire globe's population going to Russia and honoring them for the defeat of the Nazis. And of course, there were a lot of people in a lot of places that did not even get to go. They had scheduling problems. Obviously, Hungary would have gone. Orban would have gone. So maybe you're putting that up into more people. I'll tell you what, from South Africa, I don't know if they sent anybody there, but they're also on Putin's side. So, I mean, you start adding up these people, you probably have like 70, 80% of the population. I mean, the leaders that represent that much of the population of the globe, and they are honoring the defeat of the Nazis, and a lot of people are really on board with that. And of course, the U.S., even Donald Trump, yes. And of course, Europe, they are stinking sour, and so many people are talking about that. I'll have a little bit more about that in this video as well. I hope I don't go too long. You know, my battery, it's not that I care so much tonight about the time that it takes to download. But anyway, the disgrace. George Galloway said, he said something yesterday, and he said again, he again said something. You can't reiterate this stuff enough. Like me, I'm talking you guys to death about all this May 9th stuff. But he said the West was spitting on Moscow Victory Day parade. And he said, to put it lightly, they were spitting on Russia's Moscow Victory Day parade, spitting on it. I was even telling you guys about this nearly a week before the parade was going to happen, that these guys are really, really pissed off. They're so pissed off. They're pissed off more than you could ever imagine. These people can't even sleep in their anger. They're so friggin' angry, you know, that Russia defeated the Nazis. It's incredible. Oh, I have more stuff coming here. I mean, this is just more fallout from after this parade and people coming forward here. And it says, like I said, I call it the anti-Christmas. I wrote that here too, and I gotta keep saying that. You know, coming up, and there's these pathetic Europe Day. You know, there was a Slovakian. This is what I wanted to say as well. There was a Slovakian member of parliament. He was asked why he thinks the EU is so incredibly outraged. They said, why are they so outraged about the defeat of the Nazis? And he said, let's see, where did I write that? Down here. He said the EU, he said the anti-fascism, which he means Nazism, the anti-fascism is pretended. They pretend to be anti-Nazi in the EU. And that somebody, I didn't say that. I should have come up with that on my own. But they pretend that they're anti-Nazi. I mean, I've actually said that in so many words, but this is coming from a high official from Slovakia. And yeah, gosh. So a lot of people are saying all this same stuff that I've been putting out to you guys. So it's not like I'm a conspiracy theorist. And he said he's ashamed. He's ashamed of because they're in the EU. He's ashamed of the EU leaders. And they should be there and saying, thank you for liberating us. And instead, they're, like George Galloway said in his words, and he said it, to put it lightly, they are spitting. It's like they're spitting. So why would you spit on somebody if you're in prison? You know, if you're in prison, you know, and they are torturing you, and then somebody comes and frees you, would you spit on them? Basically, it's just incredible. And like I said, like even old Donald Trump, and his solution is to just start a new day and try to get to draw attention away from the May 9th, you know, and you know, in effect, of course, he's saying that Roosevelt and Churchill are both a bunch of liars. They're liars. They're liars for saying that Russia defeated them, even though everybody in the world knew that at that time. No, it was us, the United States. Look at these hands. Look at these hands. you know. I defeated ISIS single-handedly, and now I went back in time and I defeated the Nazis as well. So the number of violations of the truce that Putin called this 3-day truce, and they said that this was a test. They told Ukraine this is a test to see if you can obey a truce for 3 days. And then, of course, it was probably a test to say, well, if you can't obey this truce, then how can we sign a 30-day truce? So it was a truce for 3 days, and I put out, you know, there was 4 attempts to invade Russia by the Ukrainians, and you know, there weren't any more. They only came up with those 4, but they said that the amount of truce violations with using artillery, with, you know, they got tens and tens of thousands of artillery shells from Germany just recently. I already announced that, and I'll tell you who else is sending them in a minute. But they violated the truce 9,000 times in 3 days. Wow. And I guess while the coalition of the Nazis, I mean the willing, the coalition of the willing, when they were meeting, I guess they kept calling Trump. They were checking up with Trump. So this is obviously, Trump is involved in this. He's involved in this. And it's a big dog and pony show. It's a big bunch of fake out, you know. You got the Three Stooges on one side, you know, and you got Groucho Marx sitting across the Atlantic over there, you know, coming up with his kind of a deal. And so anyway, they were deliberating what they can do to Russia, and they were coming up with more sanctions. Of course they want the backing, and of course that was what they said in the article. They want Donald Trump's backing. They want him to back him up on what they're going to come up with. And of course, apparently they did. So everything was to be coordinated through the United States. So this is not just the Three Stooges, you know, with Schempp there, you know, from Poland also. It was Groucho Marx. He joined in on that too. Groucho Marx from Washington, D.C. He traded in his funny furry mustache for, you know, orange hair. So it's about like sanctions. I guess they're trying to come up with more sanctions from hell. 17th round. And of course, I got a little bit more, in a second I'll say about that. It was Zelensky, because I saw that, you know, a little bit afterwards. It was the newest thing that Zelensky put out, so I'll get it. And but Medvedev, you know, hearing about all this stuff that was going on, he came out with his own tweet. Get this. This is his words, not mine. I don't swear. Damn it, I don't ever swear. I left my cigarettes at the bar. I don't smoke either. Damn, I left my cigarettes at the bar. No, anyway, but I don't like using, you know, these kind of words. So I try not to. But Medvedev, he came out because he's probably pissed off. Medvedev came out and he said that I think he said clowns. Did he say clowns? No, I said, maybe it was me that said clowns. That they were supposed to talk about peace and not the fake truce. And this is, of course, as you all know, and it's very obvious. It's as obvious as the fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. You know, they're coming up with this 30-day truce, and you'd have to be incredibly stupid not to realize, because you hear the chatter, you hear Zelensky, and you hear the UK, and everybody, they're talking about a future war against Russia. They want war with Russia, and they want it badly. But of course, the whole thing is to try to do things to make sure that they provoke Russia and that Russia looks like the bad guy. They want this war. I mean, I can't understand it. There's no way they're going to defeat Russia. Not at this point in time. Of course, they're looking for, at the very earliest, 2029, and of course they're talking a lot. I mean, all these power, even Norway, they're all talking about the war. They want this war to start in 2029. So they got to figure out a way to provoke Russia. But they're, it's just like Adolf Hitler. He wanted the war to start, believe it or not, like around 1945. It started out prematurely, so he wasn't actually ready. But he was going around and he thought it was pretty easy to be taking over the Sudetenland to start that, take over a portion of Poland, and of course he needed the energy resources, so he invaded Norway. And that was the first time where they were using airborne troops, and everybody was shocked. Men coming down from the sky on parachutes. That was the first time that was ever used. So anyway, I won't go into all that. I've talked about that and how he then took over Holland very, very, very easily. So, but anyway, it was a little bit too much. He was going too fast, too much, not too little, too late, too much, too early. So. Anyway, I think they're probably anticipating. They might have even been anticipating when they were doing that in Ukraine that prompted the special military operation, because they were amassing troops all over in the Donetsk Republic, and they were getting ready to invade. And of course, Russia started sending troops there as well, because they had a lot of news that that Ukraine was going to invade to try to attack those republics. So, but anyway, that's other news. So anyway, it's a fake truce. You guys all know that. And Medvedev, he was saying that that they can take, and he wrote this. He said they can take, they can shove their truce up their asses. That's what he said. I think he even writes it in English. And he wrote it arses. They can shove their truce up their arses. Because it's a fake truce. It's like I said, it's what he should come right out and say, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me." And it's like, do they have stupid written on their face? It's absolutely, unbelievably incredible. There's no way Russia's going to fall for this again, And they've already made it very, very clear, Ukraine and all of these countries, that they want this war. And of course, I think they've even sent out messages that, of course, the whole thing is to, and Donald Trump, he's okayed even more weapons to come there. And I'll even talk a little bit more about that. They want to keep going. Donald Trump even wants to keep it going. Donald Trump is faking us out. I said he's faking us out. And if he would ever want peace, he wants it on Donald Trump's terms, of course. And anyway, let's keep going. So, what else there? Merz, the new Chancellor of Germany, said that he's going to start sending weapons. Oh, there's more evidence about this. He said he's going to start sending weapons in secret. How do you do that? I thought they were always trying to send weapons in secret, but he is working on ways to send weapons to Ukraine in secret. And obviously he has promised, and he's told Zelensky many times, just a few days ago, that he's going to send the Taurus there. And Russia said they don't really like that too much. And anyway, I don't know what Russia's going to do. Look at this. It's been escalating all this time. It started with blankets from Obama to javelins from Trump to Abrams tanks, even Abrams tanks, and now F-16s. I was thinking that was all these things were red lines. And they're not red lines. They're far beyond all that stuff now. So what is the next red line? Is it Taurus? So what is Russia going to do anyway? They're not going to be bombing Germany, obviously. They can't put sanctions on Germany because they can't do sanctions, really. That's the United States getting all these other countries to put on sanctions. The other people don't play the sanctions game. So anyhow, that's about that. I'll get a little bit more into that in a minute. But what came at that point in time, as I was looking through news, that India and Pakistan have agreed to a ceasefire, and it looks like they really have. Donald Trump says it was him. And it might have been him. If it is him, cheers to Donald Trump. Cheers to Donald Trump if you do it. I think Marco Rubio was coming out and saying that, I don't know. If they engineered it, that's good. Makes you wonder who was promised what, who was threatened with what. I don't really know, but it'd be great if they did, because I don't know. Maybe Russia could not have actually done it. Russia is actually friends with both of those countries. And the United States has got some nasty business a little bit with even both of those countries. So anyway, I think, what was it? don't know when during the days of the Afghan war, I think the United States was bombing police, killing police on the border. Anyway, that's just old stuff anyway. Maybe it doesn't matter anymore. Okay. Yeah, and of course, like I said, the coalition of the Nazis, I mean the willing, not the Nazis. I didn't say Nazis. I wouldn't say that. The coalition of the willing, they want that 30-day ceasefire. And they want it to start on the 12th of May, when is that? That's a couple days from now. And of course they order, and Zelensky, actually the articles were saying he demands it. He demands that this starts on the 12th of May. And of course what Zelensky wants to do, he wants to unilaterally announce, like, well, actually Putin was, saying a ceasefire, and of course Ukraine didn't agree with it, and obviously they didn't. And Zelensky came out and he said that Russia did not even honor their own ceasefire. But isn't that strange that there were no air raid silence going on off anywhere in all of Ukraine, in spite of the fact that Ukraine violated that ceasefire 9,000 times. No air raid sirens, nowhere, not in Kiev, not in Kharkov, nowhere, But yet Russia kept attacking, even though they were invisible bombs, I guess. And there is no reports. I saw no reports of anything like that. Okay. So I already talked about this thing about the ceasefire. It's just fake anyway. And of course, a part of what they were talking about, the coalition of the willing, the coalition of the willings, when they were over there, and Shemp and Curly and Mo and Larry and all that, they were talking about what sanctions. If Russia does not do what they tell them to do, what will be included in this 17th round of sanctions? Because the other ones work so well, we'll do it on the next one. And that's why they were calling Donald Trump, to see how nasty they could possibly get. And obviously, as you all know, Donald Trump was saying if Russia doesn't do what he wants them to do, and what he and Zelensky together and the coalition of the willing wants them to do, that they're going to put sanctions from hell on Russia. I thought they were already on there, like sanctions from hell on Iran. So all these evil people, the axis of the whatever they are, the evil people. Okay. So what else? Let's see. Anyway, I guess there's a big projection that they're going to take a huge, big portions of money again from the frozen Russian assets. So whatever. Okay. And Peskov, of course, he came out and he said it to ABC, American. He told the Americans, he said Putin is right to doubt the ceasefire proposal, while weapons and ammunition are still coming in every single day from Donald Trump. Donald Trump is sending lots of weapons and ammunition every single day to Ukraine. So, I mean, it's really strange, because he is Vladimir Putin's spokesman, the spokesman for Vladimir Putin. And Peskov is actually not such a bad guy at all. I don't think he's actually really inclined to exaggerate. But anyway, he's saying that Donald Trump, the weapons are arriving every day from Donald Trump to Ukraine. So just so you guys know that. And I guess, so that means you can trust Donald Trump. I've been saying the stuff anyway, that he had us all fooled. He's coming out with the stuff, and the press obviously is going along with it. Oh, the weapons have stopped. I don't know. Anyhow, you guys know what's going on. So nothing has really changed so much from Biden to Trump. Maybe they're sending these huge amounts of money as well. I think what is Biden every certain period of time, he was sending 250 billion. But I don't know. Donald Trump was, they announced this 50 billion? No, 50 million from Donald Trump. Biden was sending, I think it was like, wow, what period? I was even mentioning that. I put it out in videos. Every so often it was either 200 million or 250 million, regularly, I think every month, that Zelensky was getting. Mostly I think that was of weapons. Of course, they sent a lot of cash. The American people are paying the retirement benefits for all the Ukrainian people, if you guys didn't know that. And I guess it's probably still going on, just so you know. Anyway, that's about all I have for right now. How long is this video? Oh, it's 31 minutes, so that's not too bad. I guess I still have battery power. I don't know if it says it on this page. It doesn't say it right there. But yeah, thanks for joining me, everybody. And yeah, I hope the information is helpful to you. And like I said, I like to put this out because it's sort of a therapy for me, and maybe it helps me remember this stuff for future videos when I try to remember a lot of these facts and things like that. Hopefully for all of your benefits. And I should add one thing. I was talking about like historical facts and things, like they say history doesn't repeat itself, it only rhymes a lot. But if you think about some of these things that happen, like say let's look at World War II compared to World War I. The West, Germany specifically, they sent Vladimir Lenin to Russia to destabilize Russia with his Bolsheviks, and of course it worked. You could very, very, very well make a point that Vladimir Lenin was an agent of Germany. And then you can look at, if you look at the truth there and about World War II, Bandera. Bandera, he was put into jail in Germany at Sachsenhausen because he declared independence for Ukraine at that time, and Germany didn't want to go along with that. So, and then he was very dangerous anyway because he was very persuasive. So they put him in Sachsenhausen, and they let him run his network through the Sachsenhausen prison with his what do you call it, messenger, sort of, I guess you call it. And when Germany was losing World War II, or they saw things were getting really, really bad, they released him from prison. They sent him to Ukraine, also to try to help the war effort on the side of the Nazis. So it's kind of like a Vladimir of Lenin, but he was not, I don't know. Anyway, but it's very similar. They sent Vladimir of Lenin before he was in the Beatles, before they sent Bandera in World War II, and it was a very similar circumstances. It's not like it rhymes, it's like history repeats itself in a lot of ways. Sometimes it rhymes, sometimes it repeats itself. People that come up with these statements and act as if it's, I don't know. Jesus, of course, said there's nothing new under the sun, which means obviously that things that have happened in the past will happen in the present and in the future. There will always, another thing, Jesus said that too. There will always be wars and rumors of wars, I guess, depending on how he worded it, apparently. At least that is accredited to Jesus. So anyway, just so you guys know this stuff, and thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.